This, I think, is the biggest reaction we've had from anyone.
When Matty Juniosa walked onto the Britain's Got Talent stage, most people thought they were watching the beginning of a dream. Minutes later, Simon Cowell slammed the golden buzzer and the audience exploded as gold confetti covered the stage. To millions watching online, it looked like the perfect success story, a talented singer finally getting the recognition he deserved. But what viewers didn't see was the painful reality behind that moment. Before the standing ovation, before the viral fame, before the emotional headlines, Matty spent years fighting rejection, failure, loneliness, and the crushing feeling that maybe his dream would never happen. Long before BGT, he had already experienced public humiliation, career setbacks, financial struggles, and personal battles that nearly broke his confidence completely. At 27, Matty Juniosa became one of the biggest breakout stars on Britain's Got Talent. But the deeper people looked into his story, the more heartbreaking it became. Because behind the smile and powerful voice was someone who had quietly spent years trying to prove he wasn't a failure. And what happened before that golden buzzer moment is far more emotional than most people realize. Long before the fame and viral clips, Matty Juniosa was constantly moving around the Philippines with his family living in places like Mandaluyong, Zamboanga, Tawi-Tawi, Cavite, and Taguig. While other kids built stable friendships, Matty was always adjusting to a new environment, trying to fit in again. But through all the changes, one thing stayed constant: music. Inside the Juniosa household, singing was everywhere, and from a young age, Matty loved performing for anyone willing to listen. Family members noticed early that he felt happiest whenever he was entertaining people and getting attention through music. As he got older, singing became more serious. In high school, he joined the choir group at St. Paul College and started competing in vocal contests. Every performance pushed him to dream bigger and chase larger stages outside of school events. People around him could already tell he wanted more than an ordinary life. But behind the confidence, there was also fear growing quietly inside him. The fear that no matter how hard he worked, he still might never truly make it. And soon, that fear followed him onto national television, where his first major setback would leave a lasting scar on his confidence. In 2019, Matty entered Idol Philippines believing it could completely change his life. At just 20 years old, he earned a golden ticket and fought his way into the top 12 finalists. For the first time, it felt like years of hard work were finally paying off, but the pressure became overwhelming fast. The competition depended heavily on public voting, and despite delivering strong performances, Matty struggled to connect with viewers the way he hoped. When the elimination results came in, he received the lowest combined score among the finalists and was sent home early. The loss hit harder than most people realized. Matty later admitted that he felt insecure about how audiences viewed his personality and style on television. Instead of becoming a breakout star, he left the show carrying embarrassment, disappointment, and the painful feeling that he had failed in front of the entire country. And even after the cameras stopped rolling, that rejection stayed with him for years. After Idol Philippines ended, Matty was placed into a vocal trio called Idolls alongside two other contestants from the show. The group quickly gained attention, appearing on television programs, releasing music, and building a loyal fan base across the Philippines. From the outside, it finally looked like his career was moving in the right direction. The group performed regularly, and their popularity continued growing with every appearance. But behind the scenes, Matty was still fighting the same fear that he would never truly stand out on his own. While the group succeeded together, he quietly worked on solo music, hoping to prove himself individually. That pressure slowly built over time and eventually led to a shocking decision that confused many fans. In 2022, Idolls officially disbanded after Matty decided to leave the Philippines entirely. To many people, it looked like he was walking away from the biggest opportunity of his career. But for Matty, it was the start of a completely different struggle waiting for him in the United Kingdom. After leaving Idolls, Matty made a decision that shocked many fans. He moved to the United Kingdom after receiving a partial scholarship to study musical theatre at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. While others saw growing fame in the Philippines, Matty chose to walk away from it all and start over completely. The reality was far from glamorous. Almost overnight, he went from television performances to working part-time as a waiter just to survive financially. He balanced exhausting work shifts with classes, rehearsals, and auditions while living in a country where nobody recognized him anymore. The move tested him mentally and emotionally. Back home, he had already tasted fame and public attention, but in Glasgow, he became just another struggling student trying to survive. There were moments where it likely felt like his entire career had been reset back to zero. But despite the pressure, he kept pushing forward, hoping the sacrifice would eventually lead somewhere bigger. While studying in the UK, Matty continued performing anywhere he could. He appeared in theater productions, took part in festival performances, and slowly built experience on stage. But outside those small audiences, very few people knew who he was. At the same time, he kept uploading vocal covers online, hoping someone important might finally notice him. Yet success still felt painfully far away. Years after Idol Philippines, he was still fighting the same fear that maybe he would never truly break through. Watching other singers rise faster only made the pressure worse. Deep down, Matty still carried the label he once gave himself on national television, a competition loser. That insecurity never fully disappeared even as he kept performing, but instead of quitting, he became more determined than ever. And eventually, that determination led him toward the opportunity that would change his life forever. By the time Matty decided to audition for Britain's Got Talent, he was no longer walking in blindly. After years of rejection, he approached the opportunity, carefully studying Simon Cowell and researching the type of performances that connected with him emotionally. That strategy led him to Purple Rain. Matty later admitted he chose the song partly because he knew Simon loved it, but behind the smart song choice was something much deeper. Before singing a single note, he openly told the judges that he spent years believing he would always lose singing competitions. Then everything changed. For most of the performance, Matty held his voice back, letting the emotion slowly build. But near the end, he exploded vocally, and the entire room reacted instantly. The audience stood up mid-performance, and seconds later, all 4 judges were on their feet. Then, Simon Cowell hit the golden buzzer. As gold confetti rained down, Matty looked completely overwhelmed. After years of rejection, humiliation, and doubt, he was suddenly standing in the center of the moment he had dreamed about for most of his life. But even then, viewers still had no idea how much pain he had already survived before reaching that stage. Years before Britain's Got Talent, Matty was quietly struggling with serious confidence issues connected to his weight and personal life. Back in 2016, he revealed that he weighed around 230 to 240 pounds during one of the hardest periods he had experienced emotionally. The situation slowly began affecting both his physical health and self-esteem. Around the same time, he also went through relationship struggles that pushed him even deeper into insecurity and self-doubt. But instead of giving up, Matty decided to completely change his lifestyle. He started paying close attention to his health, became more active, and slowly transformed himself physically and mentally. The process took years and required discipline most people never saw behind the scenes. By the time he stepped onto the BGT stage, he looked like a completely different person from the one who had struggled years earlier. And for many fans, that transformation made his golden buzzer moment even more emotional, because they realized the battle was never just about music. After the golden buzzer moment aired, Matty's audition spread across social media almost instantly. Millions of viewers watched clips of his performance, and many believed they were witnessing the arrival of a brand new star. But as people started learning about his past, the reaction became even more emotional. Fans discovered that the man standing under gold confetti had already spent years facing rejection, disappointment, and public failure before Britain's Got Talent ever happened. Old Idol Philippines clips resurfaced online, and viewers were shocked seeing how long he had been fighting for recognition. Suddenly, Matty's story became bigger than just one performance. People connected deeply with the idea of someone refusing to quit even after repeated setbacks. His journey felt personal to viewers who had experienced failure in their own lives. But overnight fame also created enormous pressure. Now the expectations were higher than ever, and many began wondering if Matty could truly turn one viral moment into a lasting career. What made Matty's story emotional was not just the golden buzzer itself. It was everything that happened before it. Unlike many overnight success stories, his journey was filled with years of rejection, uncertainty, and emotional struggle. Viewers saw someone who had repeatedly been told no yet continued chasing the same dream anyway. His honesty also made him stand out. Instead of pretending to be fearless, Matty openly admitted how badly failure affected his confidence. That vulnerability made audiences relate to him on a deeper level because many people know what it feels like to doubt themselves after disappointment. For others, his story became proof that success does not always happen quickly. Sometimes people spend years feeling invisible before finally getting one moment that changes everything. And maybe that is why his audition became unforgettable. It was not just about talent. It was about finally watching someone who almost gave up realize that his story was not over yet. When most people watched Matty Juniosa on Britain's Got Talent, they saw a confident singer having the best moment of his life. They saw the golden buzzer, the standing ovation, and the emotional celebration that followed. But behind those few minutes was a much darker story filled with rejection, sacrifice, insecurity, and years of feeling overlooked. Before the viral fame, Matty had already experienced painful eliminations, career setbacks, financial struggles, and personal battles that nearly destroyed his confidence. There were moments when it would have been easier to quit completely and accept that his dream was never going to happen. Instead, he kept going. From moving across the Philippines as a child to failing on national television, leaving his career behind working as a waiter in another country, and rebuilding himself mentally and physically, Matty spent years fighting a battle most viewers never knew existed. And maybe that is why his story connected with so many people around the world. Because beneath the talent and emotional performance was something even more powerful. Proof that some people spend years believing they are failures before one moment finally changes everything.